Hi there, I'm Cindy Brockway, and I am a self-expansion coach. I'm a retired educator, and of course, I have my Etsy shop that we have had since 2010. So I'm kind of a multi-passionate high achiever, and I like to help high capacity people move from that overwhelm or that overthinking trap toward greater clarity, confidence, and follow through. So there you have it. Today's spotlight is called What If This Season is About Listening and Not Pushing. Hmm. So think about that for a second. And then I want to ask you a question. Have you become so accustomed to being responsible, dependable, and capable that you no longer notice when you are pushing yourself too hard? Think about that. I have been there, definitely more than once. So you may be the person that other people rely on very heavily. You may be the one that keeps the family moving. You're the one that handles all the details, all the budget, you solve all the problems, and you're the one that has to follow through on everything. Even when you're tired, when you're uncertain, or you're emotionally stretched. Mm, especially when you're emotionally stretched. And sometimes that push comes from love, from commitment. Sometimes it just comes from necessity, like there's no choice. But sometimes pushing becomes such a familiar habit for those of us who are high achieving, motivated, determined, that we stop hearing what our mind, our body, our schedule, our spirit. Sometimes we stop listening to what they're trying to tell us. So, by the end of today's spotlight, I want to help you identify one place where you've been pushing, maybe just a little too much. One message you may need to listen to a little more carefully. And one grounded step that you can take this week. So, guess what? It's only Monday, it's just the beginning. So, maybe we can identify one grounded step that you can take this week, starting after this spotlight session. So, I want to ask you a question again. Where have you been pushing lately? Hmm. Where might that be? Think about it. It could be your work, if you're working. It could be your business, if you have a business of your own. Maybe it's your family or certain caregiving responsibilities. Think about that. Think about your health, your energy. Maybe it's a decision that you're feeling pressure to make. Could that be where you're just pushing yourself? How about maybe an expectation? that someone else has for you, and you are trying to meet that expectation. Is that what's pressuring you? Or maybe it's just the next step that you think you should have already gotten figured out. You're feeling behind, stuck, out of sync with where you need to be. So I want to invite you to just drop a word or two in the comments, in the chat, and let us know, where is it that you have been pushing? Whoops. I was checking to make sure we're still going. Hey there, Rudy. Glad to have you here. I see a few other people listening, Marie, Lisa. So, for those of you who are listening, who are watching live, we're going to take a minute, do a little bit of a mini reset so that we can sort through some of the things that I just mentioned. So, before we go any further, let's just take a moment to settle ourselves, because honestly, when something like that is going on, when there's something going on that is putting pressure on us, that's kind of pushing us when we feel like we're not quite ready for it, the best thing to do is settle yourself. When you feel yourself being scattered, frustrated, angry, disillusioned, settle yourself. So let's do that right now. Take in a slow breath. Right now I'm using citrus twist, a refreshing blend of essential oils. Let's see, we got wild orange, lemongrass, ginger, licita. Mmm, yeah, that's a beautiful blend. So gently breathe in and let it out. Breathe in again, hold it, and then release. And then breathe in just one more time. For some reason, it seems like 3 breaths are all it takes to just allow us to soften our shoulders, to get quiet, and to do a little bit of soul searching, personal soul searching. So I want you to just quietly ask yourself, what have I been trying to push through? It's been hard, it's been stressful, it's just not flowing, but I'm trying to push through. What is that for you? You can type it in the chat if you want, in the comments. You can write it down or just hold it in your heart. What have you been trying to push through that has started taking its toll on you? Then, what might I hear if I stopped pushing so hard? If I stopped pushing just for a moment? I know I can't turn away from it completely, because there's a lot of things we can't turn away from completely, but we can stop pushing momentarily. So you don't have to have a perfect answer. You really don't even have to have an answer. Sometimes it's just a feeling, and you know that something just doesn't feel right, doesn't fit, or it's just not something you want to deal with right now. And that is okay. Simply notice what is coming up for you. Simply notice. For a lot of us high achieving people, pushing sometimes looks like just being responsible. It's not really anything super dramatic, super crazy, super wild. It can just look like you're being responsible, but yet you're pushing, pushing, pushing. Maybe not even intentionally, but it's happening. It can also look like being productive. Oh my goodness. That one is me. Being productive, 100%, feeling like I have to be doing something all the time. How about maybe it just looks like you're trying to keep your promises, things you promised to do when you really didn't have enough energy or bandwidth to follow through, but you're trying so hard because it does mean a lot to you. It can also look like making sure that everyone else has what they need at your own expense. How many of us have done that? Pushing yourself far past that limit of being healthy ambition just for someone else. And your health, your spirit suffers. And it can also just look like those thoughts that keep going around in our head, telling us that we're going to rest when it's finished. When I've got this all done, then I can take a break. Or I just need to get through the week. I should be able to handle this. Why am I whining? Why does it feel so heavy? Maybe it's like I don't have time to think about what I need to do right now. I'm just pushing through full speed ahead. Because you know what? A lot of us high achieving, high capacity people are accustomed to being the ones who figure things out. It's that simple. We're the ones that people go to get things done, but we don't realize or recognize how often we override ourselves. And what happens? We ignore tiredness. We dismiss that frustration or disillusionment. We minimize resentment. We rush past the quiet thought in our head that says, something needs to change. I can't keep going on like this. But we push past it. Clarity often begins when we stop overriding all that stuff. And a lot of times it's stuff we already know. Sometimes our body is speaking to us. Sometimes our emotions have been speaking, speaking, speaking. Sometimes our spirit has been speaking. So my question is, have you been listening? Have you been listening to your body, to your emotions, to your spirit? Or have you just been pushing through, pushing, pushing, pushing? So let's talk about that, a little bit of listening. Instead of pushing, listening. Because listening creates useful information. Listening does not mean that you're not doing anything. It does not mean that you're avoiding all of your responsibilities or that you're being selfish. And it certainly does not mean waiting indefinitely for the perfect answer. Because sometimes that procrastination sneaks in there, and there you go. You're waiting. You don't want to make the wrong decision, or you know what the decision is that you need to make, and you just don't want to do it. But that doesn't help either. Waiting indefinitely for a perfect answer is not what listening is. Listening simply means becoming more aware before you act. You're still going to take action, but you're going to become more aware. It just means creating enough space, a little bit of breathing room to notice what is true for you in this moment. So, a few questions you might want to ask yourself is, what am I feeling? Right now, feeling. Feeling words, write it down. List as many as you can in a minute. Set a timer. What am I feeling? What is draining me the most? Have you ever taken time to actually just set a timer and write down what is draining me right now? Becoming more cognizant of how you feel, what is draining you, and where you are continuing to say yes at the cost of your own peace. And we do it all the time. At least sometimes we've done it. We may not do it all the time, but there's a lot of times that we say yes at the cost of our own peace. So, what do you already know, but you're avoiding, or you're not wanting to acknowledge, or you're trying to stuff it down? And sometimes it's important for us to ask, what is God gently bringing to my attention in this season? If you feel in tune to those divine nudges, what is something that's being brought to your attention? All of those questions, they may feel a little uncomfortable, especially when you are used to moving quickly and solving problems and not questioning, just moving forward. But listening gives you information, valuable information. It helps you separate what feels urgent from what is truly important, not just in the moment, but long term. Because that's something that we really do need to be in tune with, the long term consequences of what we do, the choices we make, the choices we don't make. And being aware helps us just to recognize what belongs to us and what may be someone else's to carry. And that is not easy to admit. When it is someone else's responsibility to deal with the mess, the problem, the issue, that's uncomfortable for us high capacity people because we're used to getting it done. We're used to solving the problems. But there definitely are times when it is not ours to carry. And when doing so, carrying someone else's responsibilities can just make matters worse. No judgment if you've done it in the past, but from now moving forward, be careful about that. Notice what is an old expectation, something that maybe it was the right time for you to step in and help someone else solve a problem, but it really no longer fits in this current season. It's their turn to step up to the plate. It's your turn to let go. And that awareness also helps us choose our next step, a step that is grounded rather than pressured. So I want to walk you through a simple clarity scan that's going to help you listen before pushing. So, are you ready? There's 4 questions. I'll put them in the comments too so that you can refer back to them. If you're listening to the replay and you want to stop the recording for just a minute after I ask each question and give yourself time to answer, to think about it, do it. Go for it. So, question number 1. What am I pushing? Is it a decision, a task, a relationship, an expectation, a responsibility that you're trying to force? What am I pushing? Number 2, what is it costing me? Is it costing me energy, sleep, peace, focus, patience, connection? Question number 2, what is it costing me? Number 3, oops, what do I already know? So, what truth have I noticed, but I'm not fully acknowledging? I'm trying to overlook it. I'm trying to not think about it. I'm doing all kinds of things to keep myself busy so I don't have to deal with it. That's me. That used to be my MO, my method of operation, just staying busy, doing other things, and not dealing with the things that really needed to be dealt with. And what is one grounded step? So that's 4 questions. The very last one is that grounded step. Remember early on, I said that was going to be one of the things we were going to do? Come up with one grounded step that we can take this week. Not a whole bunch of steps because, then there you go. You're getting stressed out again. But just one step. Because we may not know the second, third, fourth, fifth step. We don't have a complete life plan. We might have some ideas, but in order for us to make it day to day, we just have to put one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. Just one honest action that supports what we already know to be true right now. So I'm going to give you a list of actions and I want you to think about it. Which one of these do you think you want to take this week? Do you need to ask for help in a certain situation? Is there a decision that you just need to delay for a little bit? Give yourself time to breathe, think about it before you take action. Maybe there is a conversation that you need to have. A little stressful, a little confronting, but yes, you know that you need to have that conversation this week. Maybe it's choosing just one priority for the week. Just one, not a whole bunch, just one. It also could be a matter of setting a simple boundary, either a boundary for those around, those people that are, relying on you, just a simple boundary that'll make your life a little bit easier. Maybe it's a boundary you set on yourself. We don't often think about that. But sometimes we have to set limits for ourselves. And you can probably think of an area too in your life where, you know what, I need to rein that in. So think about that. Maybe it's simply this is going to be the week where you practice resting before you get moving. Maybe a little extra time in the morning for yourself, or a little extra quiet time in the evening before you go to bed, just for you. Another thing that you might want to implement this week is praying before you decide things, giving yourself permission to change the plan. You know what? It's okay to change the plan, to change your mind. Those are just some areas where you could take action today. Sometimes we assume that if we are not pushing, push, that we must be stuck or stalled or out of God's will. Not necessarily. Listening is not the same as being stuck. Becoming more aware is not the same as being out of God's will. Listening can still create meaningful movement. It might look like saying, let me think about that before I commit. Or I cannot take that on right now. I'm sorry. Or this pace is no longer working for me. You don't have to tell anybody that. Just acknowledge that within yourself. This pace is no longer working for me. It doesn't mean I'm failing. It just is a fact. And I'm going to act on that. Or maybe you need more information before you make a decision. That's okay. Give it time. Or maybe you're going to finish one important thing right now instead of starting 5 things and not getting anything finished. All of those suggestions, there's still movement. They're still moving forward. It simply may not look rushed, loud, persuasive, impressive, but you know what? A listening season doesn't have to be impressive. You don't have to impress anybody. It's often about what's happening beneath the surface. It's going to make the biggest difference for you right now. And before the outside things change, sometimes it starts inside. When things start to settle and you recognize, you know what, this is what really feels good for me. This is what fits. This is what doesn't fit anymore. You become more honest about your needs, about your priorities, about your capacity. And you begin to hear your own wisdom again. This is nothing new. It's just listening to yourself again. So, as we get ready to tie up here, I want to encourage you to take a moment and complete these 3 sentences. One place that I've been pushing is fill in the blank. What I may need to listen to is fill it in. And the third one grounded step I can take this week is, and take it. Give yourself a moment. You don't need to force the answers. You are simply making room to notice what you probably already know, what's already there. So this is the kind of clarity work that we practice regularly in our Mind Moments community. And beginning August 10th, I'm opening up the fall cohort for the Mind Moments community. It is a 12-week guided experience. We get together every single week. You have two time frames to choose from so that you can join us live when it's convenient for you. It is designed for those people like me, those high capacity midlife people who are ready to reset their rhythms, to rethink the strategies they got going on, to figure out how to stop creating unnecessary pressure and just reconnect with yourselves. And there are going to be replays available and a complete resource bundle that's included that you have access to anytime you want to revisit the resources so that you can participate in a way that works with you, your life, your schedule. You may not even be able to attend every single weekly session, but they're recorded and they're put in the portal so that you can listen to them later or listen to them more than once. I like that perk. So you can find the details through the link that I'm going to put down in the comments. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put it down in the description box. Like I said, it's a 12-week program. It's just $27 for 12 weeks. So that's less than $2.25 a week. And it includes guided support, practical tools, and just a steadier rhythm for you as we enter into the next season. Fall's going to be here before you know it. And this is just a small investment in greater clarity, consistency, and follow through. So, as you move through this week, pay attention to the places where you automatically push or stress. And where might you need to pause? What might your body, your emotions, your schedule, your spirit, what might they be telling you? You don't have to listen to everything. Start learning to listen for just the one next step. And I want to leave you with this. Not every season asks us to push harder. Some seasons, they invite us to listen. Is this your season to listen? Listening is not wasted time. Sometimes it's where clarity and meaningful movement begin. So before you go, I want you to drop one word in the chat, in the comments, that describes what you want to listen to for this coming week. Is it peace, direction, wisdom, rest, truth, clarity, grace? What's your one word?